Alright, so starting out on the laundry list of books that I got at Powell's, we're starting out with a Danish philosopher. So for those who don't know me personally, I'm actually part Danish, and so finding Danish authors, Danish philosophers, Danish artists, thinkers, etc. is really special for me, because I kind of feel a connection to Denmark and some of my family history there. And so when I found these works by, I don't know how well you can see that one, these works by Soren Kierkegaard. I believe this is Fear and Trembling, and then The Present Age, on Death of Rebellion. So when I found both of these, I was super excited. I only have one small bookstore in my local town, and it has a small selection, and so I've always looked for Soren Kierkegaard in their philosophy section, never to any avail. So when I went to Powell's and found that they had Soren Kierkegaard, I was really impressed, and I was really happy. Even their selection there, though, was pretty small. And I feel like for Powell's, that's saying a lot because they had everything else that I was looking for. But yeah, super excited to read these. I've heard this is a good place to start with Kierkegaard, and I've also heard that this is an interesting one, kind of to do with technology and how we view phones and some of that stuff. And I have a lot of interest in technology and phones and kind of living unplugged off the grid. If you've read my newsletters, you know that. So yeah, super excited to read these, and I'll make some videos about them when I do read them. Gotta figure out where to set these. There are a lot of books in this stack. I'm super excited to like dig into these. Okay, next up, we've got the Portable Nietzsche. So I actually have the Viking Portable Library of Oscar Wilde. Love it. It's one of my favorite books because it has the picture of Dorian Gray. It has Ballad of Reading Gaol, or Reading Jail, and a couple of his other works. And like it's literally so fun because I can just throw it in my bag, and it has such a broad selection from his poetry. Oh yeah, it has his plays in it too, his novels, like anything. It's such a broad expanse from one author. And now I know Nietzsche is a little less like expansive as far as different like forms, as far as like prose, plays, etc. But I really love what Viking does with their editions, and I'm super excited to get into this. I actually have a standalone copy of Beyond Good and Evil, but it's a really nice cloth bound, and so I wanted to get kind of a copy of his work that I could write in and doodle on because I'm a big time annotator, and so that's kind of like a must have. For me when I'm buying, especially philosophy books that I know I'm gonna kind of just be working in. Next up, we've got the selected poems of Anne Sexton. So I heard one of Anne Sexton's poems on the New Yorker. I want to say I don't remember which one. I remember what it was about. It was the string bean one. Can't remember the title for the life of me because I'm an idiot. But yeah, beautiful poem. And I read some of her stuff in my Norton Anthology of American Lit for school. And super beautiful writer, and so I really wanted to get the chance to kind of dig a little bit deeper into some of her work because I'm fascinated and I'm excited to see kind of what her work has to offer. I'm gonna set this down here, so it's a little easier. Oh, this one, love this book, so good. I'm about 3/4 of the way through it, and I started it 4 days ago. So interesting, so intriguing because it kind of talks about all of the secrets and forgotten little tidbits of information that people who have kind of written about Sylvia Plath's life before have left out. The things that Ted Hughes kind of tried to cover up. It talks about Assia Wevel in here. Super interesting though. I really wouldn't recommend it though unless the person is already familiar with her life and kind of the general trajectory, because this is really not so much a biography as much as it is filling in the gaps of other biographies that you read. So it's really supplementary, but for those of us who are kind of in the loop and know what's going on, beautiful book. Beautiful book. Oh, I'm excited about this one. This is Classical Civilization. So it's from the beginning of Rome to the fall of Rome. And for some reason, I've picked up a big interest in ancient history lately. I've been chasing the rabbit trail of like Roman Catholicism, traditional Christianity, and so researching Rome and kind of the classical era of Western civilization, super fascinating to me. I've been reading a lot of Greek philosophy too, dialogues of Plato. So I'm kind of interested in classical civilization just as a whole. We've got a classic, Fyodor Dostoevsky's Notes from the Underground. I'm still ramping up. I'm going to start Crime and Punishment this fall or winter, so I went all the way through the Penguin edition of White Nights and his other short stories, and I'm going to read this and the double. and then I'll be all set. I'm gonna start Crime and Punishment. I'm gonna get there at some point. I feel like I'm stressing too much about it. I've read difficult books before. I mean, like, it's not a problem for me, but it's like a mental block. And then, the classic of Marcus Aurelius Meditations, speaking of Roman history. I have another standalone copy of this in a box set with, like, the Beyond Good and Evil, like I said earlier, but it's a really nice cloth-bound copy, and I didn't want to doodle all over this, like, nice copy that I received as a gift, so I bought this Penguin because this one I can just toss in a bag, I can drop on the street, I can scribble in and, like, not fret it. This is not, like, necessarily a meaningful or expensive copy, and it kind of just gives me peace of mind. Like, usually when I find classics that I know I'm going to annotate and stuff, I always go with these editions, just because they are durable, they have good footnotes, and their pages, the paper that they use takes ink really well. I might make a video on some of my annotation materials for books, but that's another time. I got one more, and this is one that I got at a different bookstore, but I'm reading right now, so I wanted to talk about it. Again, talking about Roman history, Roman Catholicism, I'm reading the Confessions of St. Augustine. I've come across St. Augustine a couple times just in my research about Rome, the church, history. I studied a lot of Roman Catholic writers when I was reading Dante's Inferno for school. And so I actually read excerpts from the Confessions, but not the whole thing. And what I had kind of gotten a taste of, I thought was beautiful, and really meaningful and kind of spiritually helpful for me. And so now I'm kind of going through the Confessions. I think I'm through book 1, halfway through book 2. Now I'm going through the Confessions and kind of taking notes as I go and thinking about what can I learn from Augustine's journey of conversion, and what can his journey teach me while I'm on mine. So yeah, super interesting book. I'll probably make a video about it or write an essay about it when I get to the end of it, but it's going to be a little bit super interesting book, but also in some ways very, very dense and very, like, not necessarily palatable in big quantities. I would say it's quality over quantity. Where I read a short section, I really enjoy it. There's a lot that it has to offer and for me to sink my teeth into. But then, like, after about 10, 15, 20 pages, I'm like, okay, I need to like read something else, because it's so full of thought, I think, that it's almost like it kind of drains your mind. It's one of those books you get to, like, that end of the 20 pages and you're like, okay, I'm ready for something else. But I think there's a beautiful quality about that, because it really speaks to the quality of St. Augustine's writing, and really the engagement that the text drives you to kind of partake in. I've taken a ton of notes on this book already, and that really kind of just speaks to its quality and its denseness. But yeah, I'm super excited to get into some of these books. I was super excited to be able to go to Powell's. That was a big deal for me. Because like I said, I've never been there. So to go to a 3-story bookstore was absolutely wild. I actually spent 2 separate days on the trip there. I went 1 hour before closing on the first day of our trip, and then I went back on day 2 of the trip for probably 3.5 hours. Yeah, it's been a long time there, but it was well worth my time. And if you get the chance to check out Powell's while you're in the Portland area, I would highly recommend it. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Again, this is Tyler with Tyler's Clutter Desk, and you can check the links in my bio to read some of my writings and some of my essays about what I read, and also some of my poetry. Thank you so much.